Welcome to Milk Market Tidbit. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones from Farm Institute, and today USDA released the milk production report for June 2023. All right, so the milk production report comes out. It's kind of the first report that we get, and what we're interested in is probably total milk, but what we measure is cows and milk per cow. So those are the big three that we're going to be focused on this report. So this is the May numbers now that USDA did revise them a little bit. And then these are the typical numbers that we put together. And of course, StoneX put out their estimates. And then the actual came out here in yellow. And when I look over these, I actually say, everybody's within, about 0.5%. And it actually looks pretty typical to me. So milk production was 67.02. We thought it would be 67.31. StoneX had it 67.34. So it came in, maybe a third of a pound lower. Number of cows, we'll look at this in a minute, but we had it going up about 10,000. StoneX had it about the same and actually came down about 16,000. So the production ended up, and we do it on a per day basis, about 99.3 of expected, or compared to last month, about 98.3. So here are the cow numbers, and I think this is going to be an interesting discussion because from my eye point, we've just been pretty static at 9.4 million cows. There's this run up here, but given the variation and the problems that USDA has in calculating cow numbers, I'm really kind of going to suspect that that's nothing more than a data error, not actual real numbers. And here we've got the slaughter data, and then the latest data we have is from the 8th, which included the 4th of July. So this last data point is only 50,600, kind of like this one here was Memorial Day, so we can ignore those. But right now the slaughter rate is running right around 32 to 33% turnover, which actually is a pretty low number. So we did have a much higher turnover earlier in the spring. That was from about January through April. And if we look at that, kind of coincides with this in here. So I think part of what USDA does is use those slaughter numbers and adjust their numbers. And I think it's probably just more of a data error than anything. So we look at the milk per cow. The red line is the regression across the last 8 years or so. The green dot is where we thought it would come in because normally production goes down about 3/4 of a pound, and it came in a little bit lower. So the question that I ask myself is, when we run this next year, will that point be an outlier or just kind of get lost in the noise, kind of like a lot of other stuff? And I suspect it's probably going to get lost in the noise and not a true outlier. So we kind of come back here, and my opinion is everything was pretty much as expected. So I wouldn't call this overly bearish. I wouldn't call it overly bullish. Just pretty well a typical June. All right, so this next week we are going to get a crop progress report on Monday. We'll get the cold storage report on Tuesday, which will help kind of bring some idea of what's going on with cheese production and demand, and the fourth national dairy sales report on Wednesday.